No, thank you. See that little blue thing, right?
That, I used to be one of my first jobs. We called it was the bottom of the scale job in the TV studios. Microfinance.
I hope I'm not either. I don't want anybody to have this.
Sit next to her.
Okay.
I'm told that mine is.
Folks, it is 6 o'clock. We call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Councilman Rickard,
Yes, here.
Councilman Chester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange, Councilman Solis,
Here.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. The invocation and pledge today will be by Councilman Phil Chester, please.
Rise, if you will. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity we can come here, Lord, and just gather and discuss the city business, Lord, and issues we have here in the city. Father, we thank you for this beautiful city we have, Lord. Just lead and guide, direct all of us and what we do up here, Lord, and just infuse your wisdom in us and just watch over us. Father, we thank you for our first responders, fire, police. In your precious holy name I pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have a motion for the approval of the September the 8th minutes, please, special meeting.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Rickard,
Yes.
Councilman Chester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange,
Yes.
Councilman Solis,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 5, the approval of the agenda and additions or deletions. Does anybody have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Could I get a motion for the approval?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Rickard,
Yes.
Councilman Chester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange,
Yes.
Councilman Solis,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. The presentations today, the Boys and Girls Club Civic Achievement Award by Mr. Chester, Councilman Chester.
This is Cruz Thorpe. Been given an exceptional service to the Boys and Girls Club at Mossy Beach for the responsibility assumed for the unselfish service rendered his community and its citizens in discharging the duties of good citizenship. This token of civic achievement is hereby awarded. Cruz, thank you so much. All right, tell us how old you are. 11 years old. What's your favorite sport? Oh, okay. That's great.
Fire.
I know. Fantastic.
What does he want to be?
Which one do you when you grow up? That's great. Congratulations.
See what happens first, son, your hair falls out.
I just want to say a couple things on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club. We are so proud to have Cruz a part of our Boys and Girls Club. He is such a great young man. He has great character, and he sets a good example for the younger children, and we totally appreciate having him there.
Good kids don't happen by accident either. I'd like the parents to stand up. That's quite an achievement. Item number 7, comments on the consent or regular agenda. Madam Clerk, do you have people who want to speak on this?
Yes, sir. Mr. Clumps?
On Resolution 17, I'm sorry, Tom Clump, 614 Poinsettia Court. On Resolution 17-05, Safe Route Sidewalks, I encourage the council to delete Hills Road from this resolution. There is no way students are going to walk away from school to get to a sidewalk. The students within Summerwood can easily walk through the subdivision, out the main entrance, right onto a sidewalk. Now, there is a real issue when these students get down as far as Gulf Boulevard. There's no signal there at that road, and you've got drivers that are more intent getting either out of Open Sands and on or across the eastbound lanes. Likewise, you've got vehicles in the center medium trying to get in there. They're not watching for students and everything. And Open Sands has absolutely no sidewalks. So you've got dozens of students within Open Sands and no sidewalks. It would be much more beneficial for students to put sidewalks in there to be able to get to and from school. On Resolution 1706, police fleet vehicles, in this, they want to buy 3 Dodge Chargers, and if memory serves me right, during the budget hearings, the police chief said that they were buying vehicles sooner because the Dodge Chargers were not lasting as long as they want to. So I'm asking, why are we buying more of these vehicles? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Clerk,
That's it for consent agenda. items.
anybody else in public would like to speak on the regular or consent agenda? Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Sir, there's 7 items on the consent agenda. Item number 1, Resolution 1701, the LETF purchase of 2 solar-powered variable message boards. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, authorizing expenditures from the Law Enforcement Trust Fund for the purchase of 2 solar-powered variable message boards from K&K Systems in the amount of $19,900. Item number 2, Resolution 02, Thunder Beach Bike Show. Road closures, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach related to the Thunder Beach Bike Show, authorizing road closure on portions of Pier Park Drive and LC Hilton Drive on Saturday, October 22nd, 2016 for the event. Item number 3, Resolution 1703, Brew and Boo Festival road closures. A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida related to the Brew and Boo Festival, authorizing road closures on portions of Pier Park Drive between LC Hilton Drive and Longboard Way and of Sea Monkey Way on Saturday, October 29th, 2016 for the event. Item number 4, Resolution 1704, Shrimp and Oyster Festival, road closures. A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida related to the Shrimp and Oyster Festival, authorizing road closures on portions of Pier Park Drive between Sea Monkey Way and Longboard Way on Saturday, November 12, 2016 for the event. Item number 5, Resolution 1706, Bid Award Police Fleet Vehicles. A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, authorizing the purchase of 9 police vehicles in the basic amount of $239,925, as more particularly set forth in the body of the resolution. Item number 6, Resolution 1707, Bid Award Police Fleet Vehicle Equipment Install Services. A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, authorizing the purchase and installation of emergency equipment for 9 vehicles from HG2 Emergency Lighting in the amount of $62,485 and providing an immediately effective date. Item number 7, approval of carpenter job descriptions. Staff recommends approval of the permanent full-time Carpenter 1 and Carpenter 2 job descriptions.
Thank you, ma'am. Would you like, I think Mr. Clump had
We would have to pull it
I
off.
remember that y'all were talking about going to Explorers because of shocks and something on the Chargers. Would you like to help us here for a second?
Those are gonna be used for admin, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And not patrol.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the reason.
I'm just
That's the
wanting an
reason.
explanation for everybody.
Yes, so that's the reason. Chad Lindsay, 17115 Panama City Beach Parkway. The 3 Dodge Chargers that were mentioned will be for administration only. They're not to be used as patrol vehicles. They won't be put through the rigors of a patrol vehicle. So the administration Chargers that we have now are lasting and they are fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to explain that to him. Consent agenda is up for a motion.
Motion to approve.
A second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Riekert,
Yes.
Councilman Chester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange,
Yes.
Councilman Solis,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 1 on the regular agenda, Whisper Dunes Phase 1 plat approval.
This is a public.
Public hearing.
You want me to lead it, or you?
Go right
Do you mind?
ahead.
Okay. This is a hearing concerning the request filed by HBC Homes to replat 16 parcels of land of Whisper Dunes Phase B into 22 residential lots for Phase 1C. The land that's subject to this plat is part of a multi-phase development, and this council has already approved several previous phases. This is a replat of a portion of a phase you have already approved. If I wanted to start the hearing with your Jennings disclosure, if you have communicated with any person about this matter, whether for or against the plat approval.
I know where the property is. I have not spoken with anyone about it.
Okay.
I know where the property is. I haven't spoken with anyone.
I have not spoken with anyone on this property. I know where it is.
I know where the property is, and I've only talked to Mr. Leonard about it.
Okay.
I know the property's at, and I've spoken to the city manager about it.
Okay. Ms. Jenkins and Mr. Leonard may come up to the front to give some testimony. Is there any member of the audience who will also be giving public comment or testimony in regards to this? All right.
This is a public hearing. If anybody would like to speak on this,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give is the truth and nothing but the truth? I do. Okay. All right. Kelly, you want to start?
Sure.
I will confirm that this plat hearing was properly noticed and that the subdivision complies with our subdivision requirements in our land development code. The subdivision is dedicating most of the improvements to the city. We have the resources to take care of them. Amy wanted me to know, I think there is one piece of sidewalk that's going to remain private in an easement behind the lots. The only thing that hasn't been completed is the sidewalk in front of the homes that they're going to develop so it doesn't get torn up during construction.
But they will be constructed as those homes are built.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Leonard?
The subdivision plat is consistent with the comprehensive plan and it complies with the land development code.
Thank you. If y'all have questions for any of us, you can jump in at any time. I have also reviewed the plat. It does contain a title certificate. I have reviewed the title. We appear to have the appropriate parties executing it. It contains the appropriate surveyor certificate and in all other respects appears to satisfy the statutory requirements for plats. So that is your staff's testimony as regards to this plat. So now it's up to you to deliberate and ask questions.
thank you very much. If there's anybody from the public that would like to speak on this plat approval, now would be the time. Close this public hearing and Madam Clerk, call the roll.
I need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
Oh,
Second.
Councilman Riekert,
Yes.
Councilman Chester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange,
Yes.
Councilman Solis,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Item number 2, Resolution 1705.
A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, indicating its support of the city's pursuit of a Safe Routes to School grant, authorizing the city manager to execute and deliver a grant application and any other documents necessary to satisfy the requirements of the application for the grant and providing an immediately effective date. Kelly or Hector may be able to tell you a little bit more about this grant application.
Just in a meeting that the staff had with the WFRPC, we noted that this was one of the viable grants that was coming up that was very important. Department heads met and Kathy Younce has been doing a great job to make sure she's researched all the information regarding what it takes to get this. We're working along with the TPO to get the required recommendation letters, as well as we'll be reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce's to get recommendation letters, the police, the fire department, and all those that are interested in this project. It's a great opportunity for us to be able to go ahead and apply for this grant, and it's one that is pretty successful with a lot of places. So they've done a good job of going in and breaking it down into the 3 different areas, so that way possibly we might be able to get 1 grant, but not all 3 grants, or whatever we can do. I did do some checking into it. It doesn't seem to be one that's a matching grant type opportunity, which really helps sometimes when you put in 10 or 15%. In this particular case, it's a full grant for the sidewalk. So we're just, like I said, Kathy's doing a great job putting that together, and hopefully we'll have that in December. We'll get all the letters that we need, and maybe we'll have a good chance at it and get some sidewalks around there. In regards to the concern as far as Hill Road being placed on there, versus the other. Kelly, do you have any information on that, or Mel, regarding why we chose to go that way? Like I said, since we have the opportunity, it's within 2 miles. That's an area we've addressed that we definitely could use some sidewalks on. But that versus, say, the Bidwee area.
Well, the open sands, we didn't look into necessarily tearing up everybody's houses and getting a good path through there. It's something maybe we can do in the future. We have had concerns with sidewalk along Hill Road, and since it did fall within the 2-mile radius of the school, thought it was a good opportunity to go ahead and put that in there now.
Property on Hill Road, may I ask, Ms.
Primary
Jenkins,
connectors.
is the property on, the right of way is already ours?
Yes.
So we didn't have to,
That's correct. It's
and
our
if we went
right-of-way.
into open sands, we would have to acquire right of way.
It's
Likely.
Possibly. A lot of those streets have been dedicated to the city, so we may have more title to the streets, but I don't know if the sidewalks will have to go on private property in order to support both the
If they're-
vehicular way of
if they're
travel.
certain, and I don't
we may need
know how
more.
many feet they have to be from the street, but I would think they would get into some front yards there.
It would be. I mean, you would definitely go through front yards, which would be our right-of-way most likely, but it would disrupt a lot of the neighborhoods. It's something that we could look at going into the future.
Yeah, and I can tell you, we are looking at, there are several other grants out there that are for other areas in neighborhoods besides the Safe Routes program, so I'm hoping we're gonna be looking at that. There's actually a grant that's out there just for the study of the sidewalks, where you actually can get you'll be able to do a full comprehensive sidewalk study for the full city, so, I know they're taking a look at all those, and, we'll make sure we're
Yeah, and
moving with that.
we don't expect this will be the end. We hope to continue more.
I'd like to see all the connector roads get sidewalks. You know, that would, there's a lot of traffic, and you can see the little deer trails where people are walking on the grass.
Also, I think Steve Moss is really involved in it also. The
He
school
is. He's
board.
getting support from the school.
Right.
He was
We-
very excited about it.
Kathy and I met with the school board, and they are in conjunction, and that's actually one of the things that we have to get. We have to get support from the high school, the middle school. We have to get support from all the schools, and there will be meetings within the schools that they have to do and broadcast just like we're doing this meeting, and have a sign-up sheet just like we have. So if everybody would sign up on the sign-up sheet that we have here today, it's specific to this grant opportunity. And then if and when you hear about the ones that are going on at the schools, it's very important that people sign into those, because the more signatures, the better it is for Northwest Florida Water Main.
Even though it is a grant, there is talk of development between Powell Adams and Hill Road right now. And I would like for us to check on that pretty close, to put it in something that's gonna be tore up, we don't wanna do that. And there's some pretty heavy talk about that right now.
And would it be
Okay.
the responsibility, Kelly, would it be the responsibility of the developer to put sidewalks in?
It would if they front that, yes.
Would we be wise to hold off
On that area.
for a year?
I don't
I mean,
know.
we have no assurance it's in there, it's just, of course, everything in every part of the land in the city is being discussed for development right now, I'm told, by Mr.
But we have no assurance that we're gonna get
Right,
all of
you're
it.
right, and we're
Yeah.
putting in 3 different proposals, so it'd be great if we could get 3 of them. It's our first opportunity going after the Safe Routes program, so I guess we'll see what we get with it. I'm not
And if we do get it and that comes up, we will definitely keep it in mind and have the developer do it and maybe take the rest of it down.
What kind of dollar figures is there to be anticipated or available there?
That
Do we know? I mean, I know it's early on here.
The Safe Routes program is one of the largest programs in the state regarding grants and funds. So it's significantly higher than most of the grants that people go after. So I'm thinking it's going to be one of our better shots. But it is, once again, it's our first shot at going after it. And a lot of communities have already, they're on their 5th, 6th, 7th application. So, you know, it just depends. I think we have the need. And I think depending on how our package is, I'm hoping that maybe we'll be able to get some of it. We'll see.
Great. Great.
Thank you very much, guys. Item number, resolution number 1705. Would you like to read that?
I've read it. It's available for a motion.
Already available, okay.
I make a motion, resolution 1705.
Second?
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Riekert?
Yes.
Councilman Chester?
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange?
Yes.
Councilman Solis?
Yes.
Mayor Thomas?
Yes, ma'am. Item number 3, the Molly Crossings fee waiver request. Nell, were you gonna introduce the?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mel Leonard, Building and Planning Department, 116 South Arnold. This is a request from TVC Development, and they're requesting the City Council to consider a fee waiver request of up to $20,000 from the Transportation Proportionate Fair Share fee that would be assessed on an 80-unit senior affordable housing project that's planned on the south side of Middle Beach Road, Hutchinson Boulevard, between Clara and Lindale. It's just west and on the other side of the street from the library. This request is in conjunction with a similar request that the council considered about a year ago with Royal American, where at that time Royal American was doing a workforce affordable housing project. This is a senior affordable housing project, but as part of their application with that one, as with this one, it goes in front of the Florida Housing Finance Corporation for review, and they get a certain amount of points for the different things that they can check off about its location to grocery stores and medical and different things. Well, one of them is having a local government give a $20,000 reduction in impact fees. We typically haven't done that with any other fees, sewer, water, or anything else, police, fire, library, recreation. Those are never on the table, but the proportionate fair share transportation fee is one of those things that could be used for that, but then we're weighing out taking transportation dollars away or helping out a project get score better and possibly happen. The Royal American project was approved for the council about a year ago for a $20,000 fee waiver. They have submitted permits and they're getting ready to move that project forward. This particular project, it's being it's senior affordable housing, it's not the same pot of money, but it's the same type of process. And so there's a representative from TVC here to answer any questions that you have, but that's their request in front of you so that they can make application and possibly score higher and get the project funded.
And there is a resolution in your package if you choose to pursue this and approve it tonight.
And then just one thing I wanted to add is that the thing that makes it, and for them to be able to keep the rents lower, is they end up to 9% of a reduction in their federal tax liability. It lowers it by that much. That makes these types of projects workable and affordable and able to do with the lower rents.
Can I ask Mr. Leonard something now or wait until the?
If you want to hear from the representative and then
Well, no,
answer.
I think this has something, you already mentioned it. So how is this going to affect a company that already has gotten approval for affordable housing? Is this going to keep Royal American from being able to do the same thing in the future?
Well, the one that they've been approved for, that's almost being approved through the development order, and that's not going to be affected. Now, to speculate on any future requests, I would imagine that the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, if they see that there's already an approved project in a certain area, it might eliminate the need for another one in that particular area, and that someone in the future, whether it's Royal American or anybody who else makes use of this, might have to find sites in other places to score high enough to do it.
I would imagine that would tie the population growth also.
Yes, yes, sir.
I just like the idea of
Sure.
keeping a local company, somebody that's already established here. No offense to you, because I'll probably be living there soon. You know, I just don't want to. I don't want another company, a local company, to be cut out of the picture completely because of this.
Well, we don't have any other pending requests right now, so it's kind of hard for me to speculate on how that might affect any future requests that we might get. It's possible that if the state ends up finding that a certain area based on population growth is met the need, it might have to go somewhere else. That could be possible.
Question. I have a question, if I may, Your Honor, to Mr. Leonard. If the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, this group is applying to them for financial assistance, if for whatever reason that beyond my pay grade that they are turned down, can this $20,000 waiver be tied to that if it is turned down by the folks that we're doing it for, to get their attention, and so they think that we're, you know, certainly participating? Is there some way, if they turn it down, we can turn it down as well?
Yes, if you approve it, it is for senior affordable housing project, this one. If they get turned down and it becomes just what the economy bears, no affordable housing to some other apartment complex, the fee waiver is inapplicable.
But if they leave Florida Housing Finance Corporation and go to conventional financing, do they still get that credit?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
For this project as written, period.
Yes, sir, and for this particular application to Florida Housing Finance Corporation.
And we have included that contingency in the resolution, again, should you choose to go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Who do you want to speak on that?
There's a representative, Mr. Ryan Hoover. Did I get it right? That's right. Okay, there we go.
All right. Ms. Hoover, your name and address for the record, please.
Ryan Hoover, TVC Development, 3030 Hartley Road, Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you for getting this on the agenda tonight. One thing I want to clear up, so yes, it's definitely, if this is going to be approved, or if it's approved, it's for this project only. If we weren't approved by the state, then nothing happens with the waiver, and y'all could give it again the next year or whenever you see fit. And I just want to clear something up. It is about scoring, as far as there's certain items, as Mr. Leonard mentioned, that you have to score. So it's basically a threshold, and there will be about 90 applications in the state competing. But it comes out to what happens is that everybody gets a perfect score, or the majority of them do, and then it comes to a lottery. So without the local government contribution, we can't move forward, just because your chances of getting funded would be basically zero. Just because it's so competitive and everyone puts in essentially perfect scores. But if you want me to go over the specifics of the development, or if you guys have any other questions, I'm here to answer.
If there are 90 applications in Florida for this grant, how
Correct.
many will be awarded?
It's going to be about $12 million in annual tax credits, which will come out to about eight developments across the state for medium counties. So that's only about 20 counties that compete. And then they have one for large counties also, a separate pot of money.
Looking in the packet, I didn't know, I understood that it's so many per county. Does that have any bearing on the city itself, or the population of the city that you're building in?
Well, they allocate a certain amount to the medium counties, and then each county can only get one per cycle. And someone asked earlier about the Royal American's development. So what they will do is, if, let's say, so they've been funded, they're going to go start construction. Let's say we were to get funded as well. There would be a 2-mile ring around both of those. They'll prevent new developments from popping up again right next to it, and that's just a standard thing across the state. It just prevents, in the 2000s, mid-2000s, there was people putting 300-unit apartment complexes on top of 300-unit apartment complexes. So this kind of helps that. So then in another 2 years, those come off, and then new development can come in.
So that ring dissipates in 2 years?
I think it's about 2 years, yes. But it's good. That helps. That makes sure that the new development gets stabilized and is operating, and then if the market can handle another one could come in.
Does the demographics of the area play into that, as far as seniors in the area? Does that help, or in the application?
Oh, not in the application,
So
no.
they don't do anything as far as demographics, see what the age of what you have as far as population?
No, that's not in the scoring. I mean, there's such a need for senior affordable housing right now that honestly you could.
How long does this, the rent chart that's here, is this actually based on what the federal government approves then?
So
Based
yeah,
on that? And how does that?
the rents are based on the area median income, and every year that can either go up or down. And so the federal government puts out the list or the rents for each county, so it's done by county. And so we're tied to the 60% and 40% rents of area median income for the next 50 years. So it's a long-term hold, and those rents, I mean, they can go down and they can go up. It just depends on the
So
median
basically,
income.
nobody above that max income is even allowed in then? Or-
That's correct. That's correct.
I could probably fudge on that. But there's only 8 units that are like, in the 400s?
Yeah, so it's 10%. You have to do 90% at 60% of area median income, and then 10% goes to the extremely low income, which is what that's called.
Thank you.
And I mean, about our business, we've been in, Vescor has been around since 1983. We currently own 5,000 affordable apartment units in Florida and Texas. We are based out of Jacksonville, which is where we have a majority of them, but we have Southwest Florida, Central Florida, and we just finished one in Crestview, which is the one, closest one to you guys from us.
So are you planning on moving more from Texas and Jacksonville?
No, we don't develop in Texas anymore. We operate some. We acquired an existing affordable apartment complex that was basically a distressed one, but we're not developing new there. We're focusing on Florida only.
Any other questions? Bill?
So there could only be just one of these projects at one time. There wouldn't be 5 of these at one time, which would be $100,000 of transportation.
Well, you could.
Would be
There could be 5 people applying,
right,
but only
But
one's going
only
to get funded.
one.
So some counties you'll see will have 10 applicants, and the county or the city will give out but only one's going to get funded, so they're not going to be on the hook for
right.
10
So you
different.
have to get this in by November 17th.
That's correct.
So
What made you
another,
I'm sorry.
another company could come in and apply between now and then.
If there's time to get approval, yes, for a local government contribution.
What made you choose Panama City Beach? Just curious.
Just looking in the area, we've kind of moved out to the Panhandle, so it's a nice population. There's not a lot of senior affordable housing in the area, so we thought it'd be a good place.
Any major complaints against your corporation that we should know of?
No,
Full disclosure.
no.
Anybody else?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion, folks?
Would you like me to read the resolution?
It should be fine.
Okay. Resolution 1710, be it resolved that the appropriate officers of the city are authorized but not required to execute and deliver on behalf of the city that certain agreement between the city and TVC Development, Inc. relating to the city's waiver of a proportionate share impact fees attributable to the proposed Molly Crossing Senior Affordable Housing Development in a total amount of $20,000 and substantially the form attached and presented to the council today, with such changes, insertions, or omissions as may be approved by the city manager, whose execution of such agreement shall be conclusive evidence of such approval. This fee waiver is contingent upon an award of housing credits from the Florida Housing Finance Corporation and the request for applications 2016-110 housing credit financing for affordable housing developments located in medium and small counties for the proposed project.
Well, I'm sure with our video and audio the way it is right now, somebody's gonna ask me sometime this week, what is the TDC doing building elderly homes for? This is TV as in Victor, not TDC.
I apologize if I misspoke or could not
No,
be
but
heard
it-
clearly.
It was everybody saying it, when they say it quick, it could've
Sounds the same.
had some questions. Young lady?
I got something else. They approved the one, a year ago? If myself and someone else wanted to go out and build a condo or something, I mean, we wouldn't be waived that. I mean, we would have to pay the transportation fee. just a hard one to swallow.
Well, unless they're outside the 2-mile perimeter, they can still apply, right?
Well, I think he's just talking about a general
Yeah,
condo.
No, I mean, just for, if we just wanted to go.
Okay, I see. Oh, okay, I thought you
Any
were
kind of,
talking about-
any other business would have to pay the $20,000 or whatever the fee would be.
But, I mean,
That-
any other business would have to already.
Yeah,
Just
but-
that,
Correct,
just
but-
the affordable housing gets that credit.
right.
I mean, yeah, this is particular based on the fact that what they're trying to do is create some affordable housing for some seniors that are at some pretty low thresholds. And
They're trying to make some
waive-
money. We're
yeah.
trying to decide whether we wanna help create it or.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
what I look at is, does it create some affordable housing for some seniors that are low-income seniors that need places with prices like this? A friend of yours, whoever else here, they're gonna be, their prices, I can guarantee you, based on this rent chart, are gonna be twice as much. And it'll just be apartment housing for others. For $20,000, to be able to go ahead and get that application in so that they can go ahead and be able to give this assistance to people who need it. I just think it's myself personally, I think it's a good thing, to waive the $20,000. That's just mine.
And Phil, to address your point, I just asked Mr. Leonard, our comprehensive plan does contemplate the provision of affordable housing and the development of affordable housing in our community. We don't require it, but we do encourage it.
Right.
So how is this possible? Why would we do this?
Right.
That's one reason why.
Right, okay.
And I'm like you, I wouldn't waive it for a standalone project of a private thing, but this is something I think that helps the city by having it, or the opportunity for it. This item is up for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All right. Clerk?
Councilman Riekert,
Yes.
Councilman Chester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange,
Yes.
Councilman Solis,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 4 is the wellness program update.
Yes, sir, thank you. Last meeting, you guys had asked me some questions, and I found a few things out for you. I do want to pass this out to everybody. So if you could take one of those and pass them along. What I'm handing out right now is the legal team for Preventure, their statement on what their guarantee is. I can't remember which one asked me about that, Councilman Solis. This is basically their statement, and they don't guarantee to drive up participation. They have guarantees for the people who are participating. And basically what they do is set aside 25% of the management fees annually, and that's up at risk. So if they don't meet their goals for the people who are actually participating in the program, that money gets refunded. And that's all explained in this. And then I think it was you, Councilman Chester, asked me about what Panama City Beach is doing, or Panama City is doing. They are using Blue Cross Blue Shield. It is free for them to use. There are some things that you can use that are buy-up that increase, like, for example, the biometrics that we like to do. They would get if you're a Florida Blue participant, you would get the biometrics for free. A buy-up option would be $6 per person to get the full cholesterol checks on top of that. So there's some different things on that that go along with that. They do a contract with us. I have an example of one that I can, give you guys if you needed. But basically, they're gonna come in, help us set up the whole thing, help us build a committee, which is part of the reason Panama City has such a successful. They have a committee that drives it, not one person. They help you set up the committee. They help advertise. The use of the website is free. There was a charge in there that you guys saw before. Those charges are for non-participants if we wanted family members and everything else to participate. There's a nominal fee for that. The website is free unless you're doing specific challenges, which they will build in the system. And it's 15 cents per member for a year, which comes out for our city. Right now it's $41.65, I believe, for the entire year. to be able to do the challenges on the web portal. Otherwise, the web portal usage is free. I talked to Panama City, and I'm going to give you these two, give you an idea of what they were doing annually. They've only been doing it for 3 years. The first year, in 2014, their fiscal year total that cost them is for incentives and promotions that they ran. They paid out of pocket $45,000. Low participation, brand new year, and they did not use rewards. They didn't incentives to get the people more involved. In 2015, they started doing that, and of course, it went way up. They went from 65% participation rate to 89% participation rate, and they ended up spending with all of it, running the whole thing all year long, and paying out the employees who participated in it about $130,000. In 2016, you'll notice that their fiscal year end total was much lower. There are two things that went into that. One is they don't have the third and fourth quarters incentives done yet. They hadn't thrown all that into the calculations. And two, they ended up having an overage in their flexible spending account, so they're using that instead of the city's funds to pay for that. So some of it got reduced in that manner. But that'll give you an idea of what gets spent on these programs as far as incentives. There's a number of ways you can do it. I also got a plan if you're interested, the Panama City's actual operating plan for their thing. If you want it, I can give you a copy. It lists out how it's going to be run, who's going to participate, what the incentives can be, when they can earn the incentives, when they get paid. That's pretty much it for what they do, unless you have any other questions that nobody brought to my attention.
The plan that we're currently I know there's multiple plans in there.
Yes, sir.
The amount we were originally looking at was 35,000, correct?
I think it was 50,000.
Oh, 50,
I don't.
So it's 56?
That does not include the incentives that you would pay employees.
And, I mean, is incentive something that we have to do in there, structured through that program, or is that something that we can decide?
I spoke to Kim Pilcher and the committee lead on that program, and they said without the incentives, that's what caused the increase and got people participating more often and much more into the program, and they've already seen a reduction in their annual costs medically.
So Blue Cross Blue Shield is basically free.
Yes.
Working for the city. And if we pay $56,000 a year for Preventure, they only guarantee those people that participate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
We looked at this one time before when I was downtown, and one of the problems is the carrot and stick deal. If you don't have any teeth behind making people participate, you got to pay them. And that's why I believe their incentives are so high, because some of these things that they get money for, there's no check. There's no goal that they have to meet. There's no incentive for me to want to give them money, because they're not improving themselves.
So why are they getting the incentives?
They say that you'll get a little bit of good out of it, because if they find somebody's sugar that's too high, you may can save something, or if you find somebody with a cholesterol problem, they say if you go in there and test them, but other than the testing, you don't have anything to make them improve themselves. I think the police department was looking, Drew's setting it up where there's a stick. You either improve or you go out. The city downtown, I think their incentives are so high because
That's the carrot.
that's right. But they don't have anything. If you don't improve, if they tell you you've got something wrong, you don't have to try to fix it. You don't have to. And it was explained, I believe, to me in the past that some cities, if they find something wrong, then you have to go on a program to try to fix it. Because if you keep living the lifestyle you were living that causes the city that still have to pay extra, you haven't done any good, you wasted money for the city.
In
So-
addition to giving out incentives.
That's right. I mean, some of these things are good, I think, but we have to decide where we're gonna have to stick there to make.
Or measurable terms.
That's right, some
Like
kind of
I said,
measurable deal where you.
Measurable terms to where you can get some incentives.
That's right.
And so-
Panama City actually does have measurable terms in their thing. I mean, that you only get them for certain participation. They have different programs. And if you're not participating in it, if you're not doing the things, if you're not identifying that, like a couple of the things are to get your annual dental exam, you get a small award set of points for that.
Understand, but you have to get an EKG or you have to get blood pressure checks. But you don't have to do anything to try to
About-
bring it down.
No, they make it a completely voluntary program.
That's right. There is no stick.
Sorry,
Well,
sir.
you know, I mean, this is, would be a lot of money for us to put out that we could use
Well,
for sidewalks.
Well, we
No,
actually can't use
this
that.
money
for-
cannot be
I know,
used for
I know,
anything
I
other
know,
than
but
health.
I'm just in my mind, I'm thinking, you know, it's.
This is money that we have in that, in that insurance program that's set us for these types of things. So it's money that's already there for that. So it seems like we should use it, but I'm with what like the mayor's saying, we should have some good measurable terms, like if you identify smoking cessation, okay, that you actually go through a program and after the 6 months, you're checked that you have quit, if you sign up for the program, and there's an incentive for you because you've actually quit smoking at the end of the program. You know,
Who's paying
Did-
for the program?
Yeah, I mean.
Did Dee pass this out to you all?
No.
No.
Okay. Let me just quickly give you some of the incentives so
That-
that
I
you
have that
understand it
right
a little
here.
bit better. But they're not gonna have time to read through all this, so I thought you had already received these. A health screening, if you take the health screening, it's $75. If you do the follow-up exam with your doctor, it's $25 more. That's not a particularly bad thing. Doing a dental exam, just doing it is $25. That's preventative medicine, not bad, $25. If you join a walking program that makes you healthier, it's $25. If you do a non-tobacco user program, it's $75. If I don't smoke, they would give me $75. I'm not saying that all of these are great. These are just the examples that someone already else has. You could cafeteriaize this system and say, oh, we want to incentivize the person that smokes to stop smoking. But we're not going to give somebody that doesn't smoke a carrot just because they don't smoke. Again, all of these are for you guys to re-look at. An ideal body mass, you would get 75. Good cholesterol, you would get 75. But if you go on medication to control your cholesterol, it's $25 extra. If you have good blood pressure, you get an automatic 75. If you go on the blood pressure medicine to get to that, it's an extra $25. It seems a little backwards to me. I would
That's exactly what I was
think
gonna say.
$25 if you have good blood
And
pressure,
then if you do it,
75 more if you actually make it where you're
Right.
healthy. But again, this is what someone else has. I think if you wanted to go through something like this, you could make it where it would be performance related, where it would have a benefit to the overall population.
Yeah, I like I said, I like that whole plan, but like I said, I would reverse it.
Yes.
Because it seems like it should be reversed, you know?
So can we, put this on a future agenda?
Certainly,
You
and
know,
again, we're just going through this to see where and how you want to do this. We could do a workshop on this. I mean, we can skin this cat piece by piece by piece. And again, one of the reasons that I think Dee presented the program, that's the $56,000 program, is that program gives her a lot of backup that she doesn't have here. Please understand, Panama City has 6 full-time HR personnel. 6. Got 1. So they're
How many employees do they have? please?
510, sir.
500 and some odd employees. So again, if she had this tool to have them backing them up at $50,000, $30,000, or just having to knuckle down and deal with it with Blue Cross Blue Shield, there are still some benefits. And I think what we've learned from all of these different programs is if you don't have the incentive, there really isn't a whole lot of buy-in into the system. But understand, if we adopted that program that I just rattled out all the numbers, I could maximize at $500. I meet enough of these where y'all would be giving me a $500 check. I personally wouldn't mind it. I think I'm relatively healthy except for the cough that I've got right now. I have gone to the doctor twice to address my cough. I mean, but again, I'm proactive at it, and those people, you know, in this program would get a very nice chunk of money. But the key is we've got to get the people that are not going to the doctor to go to the doctor.
I know this is very different than a cafeteria plan. Very different, but a cafeteria plan, having, many of us have experienced one of those, you know, that pays, you use your own money and commit to paying, you know, for dental expenses, for child care for an elderly parent. Different, but under the heading of benefits nonetheless. Is that, so obviously you've explored that, and Mario, and is that something you decided, very different, this is to get people to go out and walk and be healthier. A cafeteria plan's more of a save everybody, especially the employee, but also the employer, money on FICA, taxes and so forth. Have we looked at?
I should not have used the word cafeteria plan. What I meant was you can look at this and say, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. I was using it as the term, not as the program.
Well,
the program, we're already
no,
way too far.
This is program A, cafeteria plan. We haven't seen anything that looks like it here yet. I was just saying, if we're expanding our employee benefits, might we want to look at that? And I know we have, correct, Ms. Fowler?
No, sir.
We have not.
I have not looked at anything like that, no, sir.
Okay.
I'm not proposing that we go back and re-look at our entire insurance system to go to a cafeteria plan. Please do not take that as anything that I was meaning to say in this. I was just saying you can pick and choose whether you want to incentivize cholesterol versus blood pressure versus good walking skills.
Councilwoman Strange, if I might, I also got a number from Blue Cross Blue Shield. They did an analysis of the companies that are within it that have wellness programs and those that didn't. And on average per employee, they save about $698 per member per year on those that participate in wellness programs.
On Blue Cross Blue Shield?
On this, the Blue Cross Blue Shield. So $600 in savings on claims per, it's not, I mean, it almost eventually would pay for itself.
True, except for the incentives that we're giving out, the carrot.
Panama City limits theirs to $500 per employee at $698. You're looking
Right.
at saving $198. We could limit the incentives to $250 or something of that nature. It's whatever you wanted to do.
Any more questions?
Yes, sir. I felt like we dashed by my cafeteria discussion and didn't stop long enough. I mean, everybody familiar, I bet most everyone here's larger company participated in a cafeteria plan.
And I think,
Yeah, and I did with my company, small company, 20 people.
I think that after the conversation I've heard, I don't think anybody's ready to vote on any of this. So we could take this next few weeks and look at it. I'm familiar with the cafeteria plan because we looked at it down there.
Yeah.
But
And
to
I
look
think
at those
this is,
incentives and look at it in the way that Mario was talking about cafeteria, in his eyes, would pick it up item off the menu.
And that's what I wouldn't mind, if some staff got together and put together a conservative list of this. Look at it and take a conservative look at the things that we really know with, when you're talking about blood sugar, blood pressure, those really important things that are gonna, prevent, because like I said, if we save one person by doing it and getting them to check those things, it's gonna save the city in the long run, probably $75,000 to $100,000 just for every employee that we save from something that might happen as far as
and I
cardiac
am
arrest.
absolutely for this program.
Yeah.
I think at the same time we're doing a cafeteria program, again, I said it apples and Buicks. I mean, it's very different, but it is a benefit for the employee. It usually saves the company, and we are the company, money. It's a great benefit for the employee because, you know, if Ms. Myers were an employee, having a young child and daycare service, you know, for her 3-year-old princess, and, you know, glasses and your twice-a-year trip to the doctor and those things that you can pick out. And our little company, which is very small, didn't cost us a thing. And the fact that the employee, if she made $10,000 a year and elected to take $1,000 and put it in the cafeteria plan to pay for daycare, senior health care for our housing for our older parents, it's very flexible.
More like an FSA though.
I don't know what an FSA is.
Flexible spending account.
It sounds similar, but I don't know. Then the employee doesn't have to pay tax on that money, income tax. The city saves the 7.65 city or employer contribution to FICA. Everybody wins, and it's a great benefit for our employees.
I've been paying for insurance all my life, and I still don't understand it. This is always a hard thing to try to figure out. When do we have to have something in place?
So we don't have to have anything in place. This is just
Okay.
something that I was asked to see and
Sure, I
keep you
understand.
informed on. And
All right, but does everybody agree that we ought to pass on this and look at it at a later date?
I'd like to give them a little bit of direction though, like maybe come
Sure.
back with a conservative plan of these.
The
these things
incentive
that
program.
actually have
Mhm.
some good carrots and sticks, or, you know, a good carrot approach in there that
Didn't-
incentivizes people to actually make improvements, measured
That's right.
terms.
I
The
agree.
department heads, they sat in on all of this, correct?
yes,
All the department heads did sit in on, I think it was 6 presentations,
Right.
and they narrowed it down to these
These three.
three.
We
It
have
was
department
4.
heads in here. Have they spoken with their employees? Have any feedback or, I mean, anybody? No?
I say we move it to another agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Item number 5, resolution 1709, bid award.
A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving the execution of an agreement with Gordon and Associates Inspections LLC for the building plans review and inspection services at rates more specifically set forth in the body of the resolution and providing an immediately effective date. These services were bid quite some time ago. We also explored other options.
Sure.
This comes with staff's recommendation.
Okay. Folks, open for a motion.
I'll make a
to-
motion.
oh, Second.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Riekert,
Yes.
Councilman Chester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange,
Yes.
Councilman Solis,
Yes.
Mayor Thomas.
Yes. Item number 6 is public comments. That is on anything, limited to 3 minutes. Please give your name and address for the record. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Thompson.
Bernie Thompson, 8317 Front Beach Road. I just want to point out that y'all just waived $20,000, and I know you're looking to build a new building for the city council meetings. I don't see anything wrong with this one. I think it's going to run you about $4 million for that. And we're hearing a lot of talk about doubling the sales tax on people. I just want you to consider how much money is being spent and then asking to double the sales tax on the people. But I'm really concerned about the city council, and particularly you, Mr. Mayor, about following the rules. And specifically the city charter, which is like the constitution for the city. The city charter makes this a city that's run by the city manager, not by the mayor. In fact, the city charter prohibits elected officials from going around the city manager and dealing directly with city employees. That's illegal. It has been brought to my attention that Mayor Thomas violated the city charter by doing an end run around the city manager. And Mr. Mayor, did you Did you do that? Did you go talk directly to the building inspector, Ken Thorndike, without the city manager with you regarding the legality of a condo office? And if so, are you aware that it is against the law for you to go around the city manager and go directly to employees? The chain of command requires you to go to the city manager, and the city manager goes to the city employees second. I've requested a public record of the phone call that you took, Mr. Mayor, on August 10th when you walked out of the meeting and you came back in on your phone. And I'm asking if you'll please provide a public record of that phone call. Now, I realize you said that it was your mother who called you, and I'm choosing to trust but verify. And the reason I say that is I'm wary of creating a precedent of elected officials walking out on a phone call and coming back in. So, sort of like y'all say to us, if you're not doing anything wrong, what do you have to worry about? So would you please provide a public record for that particular phone call on August 10th when you walked out? And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Wilson?
Good evening, Mayor Thomas and council members. My name is Russ Wilson. I reside at 17111 Guava Avenue, Panama City Beach, just 2 streets over. I come here tonight just as it's kind of a trivial concern, and I apologize for the trivialness of it. It's a concern for me, so that's why I'm here. It's in regards to a public right-of-way or public parking, I think, or there's a tractor trailer truck that his residence is actually on my street, Guava Avenue, and he rents there. I'm an owner. I actually own my house on that street, but he's been parking his tractor trailer there. I have gone and talked to Mark Williamson, code enforcement officer. We've had several conversations. I've actually met with him in person. He was hoping he could find a loophole in some of the code of ordinances to maybe ask the man to not park there anymore. But he said he couldn't help me anymore, which is why I'm here tonight. I did want you to perhaps consider these sections of the Code of Ordinances. I looked them up myself online, and there's a section 4.05.03 that references parking in public right-of-way. I do know that he's parking on one of the new sewer lines that was put in many years ago, about probably 10 years ago now. The sewer lines had to be made larger to accommodate more residences on my street. He's actually parking on that sewer line. I know that for sure because I remember when it was dug. But there's also another section 22-17, parking on grassed areas prohibited, other grassed areas owned or under jurisdiction of the city. He's actually parking on an area that is where grass is growing. It is the side of the road, and I assume it's a city area where he's parking. So, but Mr. Williamson just mentioned he tried, he did his best, and I appreciate his help. But he said there was nothing he could do for me. So I just wanted to request a further consideration with this. I know when 79 is 4-laned, all of that will be taken care of because he won't be able to get in my street because there will be a median. Thank you. So he won't be able to pull his truck in there. But meanwhile, we all have to look at it at least once. He's usually there for a week, and then he's on the road for 3 weeks. So it's not terribly, that's why I made light of the fact that it's a trivial concern. But when he is there, it's annoying to me. So. Thank you for your consideration.
Is it just the tractor, or is it the whole
No,
rig?
It's the whole tractor. It's the whole rig. Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, he parks right here on Guava, right at 79.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Air Force retired Colonel Morgan.
Neil Morgan, 17721 Front Beach Road. Mayor, council people, officials. This is the 3rd time I've appeared before you on this single topic. It has to do with Aquatic Adventures Splash. To my knowledge, no communication has been given to them to tell them, order them to refrain from moving their equipment in front of my unit during the storm. There's a hurricane out there right now. There could be another one coming in this month. But that hasn't been done. So in the meantime, I'm asking for the second step. I've talked to the chief of police. I've talked to Captain Wayne Maddox about the fact that they're operating their business license is restricted to the area in front of Splash. They have moved their chairs 100 yards toward my house, outside of their area of operation, and the ordinance says they have to have their chairs within 10 feet of that boundary. So they're not only at the boundary, they're far beyond it. They operated their umbrellas Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and today. So I'd like to ask for some help in preventing them from taking over the beach. It's an absolute zoo down there. They do whatever they want. And if I don't come forward, then no one will. So if you've issued a citation or a warning order, I'd like to be able to have a copy of it. But no change has occurred. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Mr. Lago?
Bob Lago, 9132 Summer Circle, Panama City. I would like to address the council, and basically this is about demeanor and the conduct of the council. In the past, I've noticed that when we the people are speaking, sometimes there's conversations going on and our time is limited, or somebody's answering a phone. And the fact is that when we're speaking, y'all gotta listen. It's pretty hard to do that if you're all talking among yourselves. Now, sometimes we have to discuss things, so wait between one person and the other to get the point down, and then pay attention to we the people. Secondly, especially on the conduct and demeanor, you know, this is the public time. So, Mr. Thomas, when you're talking to the city clerk, Ms. Fowler here, saying sugar, it's not acceptable. Now, if that's your all personal way of dealing with each other, God bless you. More power. But not in our time. Same with you, Mr. Rieger. Hey, you're looking good today. Yeah, that looks nice. She's smiling.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, that's what sounded to me, sir.
Well, then you're mistaken.
And I'm speaking, please.
Beg your pardon, sir.
The other thing to you, sir, is that you're all colleagues, and berating Ms. Strange is not acceptable either. Because when she's telling the mayor, hey, let so-and-so speak, she's doing her job. She is backing us up. She doesn't have to undermine the mayor. No, her job is to ensure us. You should be looking towards, and going towards her, sir, is unacceptable. You're an NCO. I was in the service. You know, we don't deal like that. And you actually owe her an apology.
He's apologized to me.
Well, then thank you. And I thank you for standing up for the people. We don't need that bickering going on, people. You're better than that. I know that. That's why we elected you. So I do thank your cooperation on this, but like I said, in our public time, full attention, congenial. I know sometimes things get a little hand. Well, then just take it back to the to the offices and duke it out over there, because once again, it's a presentation thing, it's a professional thing, and you're all professionals. And once again, Ms. Strange, thank you for standing for the people, and thank you for your time.
Next. That's it. Anybody else in the audience that would like to speak on anything that's on their mind? Thank you very much. A question was asked to me about Mr. Thorndike. There was a citizen that came to me that was a property manager of a piece of property, of a condo down in Long Beach. He asked me if there was any exceptions that could be made in a gym that they put on the bottom floor, and I told him I'd check on it. I went to see Mr. Ginsburg and asked him if I could go see Mel and ask him about it. I went to see Mr. Leonard, and Mr. Leonard said he would call Ken in there and we could see if there was anything that could be done with that. It had to do with insurance that would be canceled for that group if that stayed there. And yes, I talked to Mr. Thorndike. Yes, I think I went through the right channel, and that is correct. And the phone call, I passed, when my phone vibrated on my leg, I passed the gavel to Miss Strange, and I got up and walked out. I was no longer a member of that meeting, and that's none of anybody's business. I don't think. Anybody else like to answer anything, John?
Is this council comments or?
Yes, well, I mean, this is on what they asked.
okay,
No,
yeah.
I just wanted to, there was a question asked me, and I wanted to explain it. And I do, the other question was, do I know it's illegal for me to interfere with the workings of the city? Yes, sir, I certainly do. Thank you.
I have a couple of things for Mario regarding just, I would like to see, I know the police have been spoken to in regards to the colonel's issue there, but I do think it's appropriate that based on what did happen, I thought we were gonna work on that. I'd like to, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if the rest of the council is, but I think we should have a letter sent to, if the one that the police report came back was Aquatic Adventures, we should have a letter to them specifically addressing them placing their chairs on private property. I thought that was done. If it wasn't, then we need to, I'm asking if the council's okay with that we give
yes.
the city manager
By all
direction.
means.
It had already been sent.
Yeah, to write that letter specifically notifying them they are not to place those chairs on private property again.
I will say one thing, I know I went through this when I was with the county, that property line goes at an angle there.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna address next.
Some of
was-
that property down there that belongs to them is in front of your condos because of the angle of the property, and I know that to be so.
Mike, can I say something? May I speak?
Yes, sir.
That line is way away from my property. Their permit operation is looking for this dollar to let us splash.
I understand.
Anywhere else.
And we can check that. That's something that the.
Something that we can easily check, but I think
Based
you'll
on
find that property line is running.
And that's not to say they're not cheating on their line, and if it is, then once again, that's something else that needs to be addressed. And that's what I was gonna mention was also the boundary. We should be checking the boundaries to make sure we're good with that. And then the other thing would be, I would hope, that you can get with Mel regarding that issue. It does seem strange that we've got a tractor trailer parking in the grass, on sewer lines, so.
In a residential area.
In a residential area, so if that is an issue, then.
We have addressed that in the past, so
Okay.
our police department should be able to address that.
Okay. That's all I have regarding public comments.
All right. The attorney's report?
I will confirm what you read in the paper, that we did not file an appeal on the scooter suit. I did not file an appeal, in fact, on the scooter suit. That's the basis of my report. You continue to keep me busy.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would say one thing. I didn't know you were gonna be done with the council comments.
Yeah, me too.
I would
Well,
say,
the council comments are down here.
Down lower.
If anybody wanted to answer anything on the public comments,
well, okay, may I please?
Certainly.
Sorry to be out of order. Is that everyone should understand that the process of the city council, a person talking to an employee of the city is, like Mr. Thomas's example was a very good example of gathering information, and going through the channels. The channel being primarily the city manager, and that has not been. There are places where feet are held to the fire. You don't dare do that. This is not one of them. We had a meeting yesterday with Mr. Leonard and Ms. Jenkins and I and other Kathy, our other engineer in stormwater, for an hour and 45 minutes that resolved a problem that the city had been having and getting a bad rap on for years. But Mr. Gisbert was aware of this. Who else? Everybody. Al Short in Public Works, Mr. Casto, so everybody's base was touched to do that. And that really is the procedure that we must go through. You said, why don't you just leave this meeting and go around the corner and hash it out, that's illegal. We can't do that. So we have to talk about it here. And sometimes if somebody's asking a question up here, you know, it's for clarification. But I would ask Mr. Gisbert, does he feel like that that's abused by council people? And I'm sure it is occasionally, and some from carelessness and some just you know, unknowing. But that really is the process, and it's not to do anything, you know, sneaky. Thank you.
All right. The city manager's report?
I could read all these things, but all of these things are on our website. In a quick version of it, we have about 6 different projects that are bid, everything from construction to replacing a floor to doing a field groomer. There's lots of things that we're bidding out right now.
I think that's important.
Yeah, there's a road closure in Colony Club. I'll make that announcement. We have 7 positions that are out advertised right now. Everything from maintenance worker to patrol officer to payroll to police department to senior staff accountant to utility engineer to utility worker. All of this is available on our website. These are printed straight out of our website. Whoever really wants to know what's going on in the city can glean a lot of information from that. We are still working on one of the major projects, which is our roadway projects, and also doing some stormwater upgrades within Colony Club. And there is a public road closure. This is out in the news, in the media. It's on our website that shows that we are detouring some traffic within Colony Club. This should be a small inconvenience. Actually, it's going to make it a shorter route for some people that live along that road. So they may wish to keep it that way.
They're putting out door hangers in the morning, is what I was told.
So this is going out there, but this way everybody that's here and the media will catch this and get the word out. But it's a project that's well underway, and we hope to wrap it up here shortly. That is. We are replacing the floor in the Lindell Center.
Oh.
But again, we're painting a storage tank. We're replacing some screens in the water treatment plant. Just lots of little projects, but if you want to dig into the details, all these things are on our website.
I had a
That is
buddy of
it.
mine come in today that I hadn't seen in a while that I graduated with, and he's down this weekend for a class reunion. And the Beach Bum reunions this weekend, and for people that like old music. And he said that I said, where's the dinner gonna be? I know where we're going Friday, but where would they go Saturday night? He said, to the Lindell Center. And I said, that's the old folks center, the senior center. And he reminded me that it was our 50th class reunion, so it may be old folks center.
And there's gonna be housing right within walking distance.
That's right. Well, we can just walk right over there and take it out.
And Mayor, if I could add one more thing along, not that it's senior or anything else, but it's very close to home. And you said something that reminded me, and that was the Beach Bums. But we have a very good group of parrot heads that live within our community, and we have a very big leader to that parrot head group. They put together a wonderful concert. They pay fees for that wonderful concert, but they redistribute that money back to our community. And this year they're going to distribute $35,000 to Girls Inc. That is massive, and I'd really like to give Joe big kudos for that, because that's money coming back to our community.
All right. Council comments.
Ooh, I got some.
All right, ladies first.
First off, happy birthday to Mel. You're 30?
Happy birthday.
I had talked to, in light of the Trump gathering on Tuesday, I had talked to Chief Whitman about golf carts going down the sidewalks on Back Beach Road, which the city doesn't really care, the city police don't really care, but the highway patrol will pull you over and they will give you a ticket.
Yeah.
And it's $250.
Yes, it is.
So, his suggestion was that the council work on maybe doing a area where it's, golf cart friendly sidewalks, something like that. I don't know what the exact wording would be legally, Amy.
I don't know either, but I'll look into it.
Because there's a lot of people that travel to the the concerts over from your neighborhood and your neighborhood that could use the sidewalk to get there. I want to congratulate our new battalion chief, who is Justin Bush. He's replacing Joe Coco, who is retired. I noticed in the paper on Tuesday, which I hardly ever read, but in the legal notices, it's already in there that we're only having one meeting in November and one meeting in December. And that's something that we should have voted on first.
And we do need to confirm that, and that is an action that you guys need to take.
So we can do that today.
Or
Discuss it
the next meeting, or whenever you'd like.
And that I will be gone at the next meeting. I have eye surgery and I've got to go back up to Atlanta to have the doctor look at it, so I didn't want anyone to think I was like out partying or anything like that. So.
Not at a
Getting
Trump,
it up, yeah.
not at a Trump rally.
I love me some Trump. That's good.
That's it?
Yeah, that was a whole bunch.
Hector?
Yes, sir. I have several also. I'm going to start out with, I'll be gone at the next meeting, so I'd like to see all the rumors that are going to fly on that one. But I will be with my wife, so. But
Big
I'll also be
agenda at the
phoning in.
next meeting.
Huh?
Big agenda at the
Yeah,
next
so I'll be-
meeting.
I'll
Yeah,
be-
I know. I was kind of worried about that.
No, I'll be phoning in. I won't be here, but I'll be phoning in unless I get caught out of the country. So we'll see. And can't get back. I did want to bring something up and hope that see what you all thought about it. We do have where in January we're going to be making our nominees for the planning board. I was going to throw out, would it be, I'm recommending or seeing if anybody else feels the same way, of possibly by the next meeting, us announcing who our people are that we're designating to the planning board, so that they maybe might be able to attend at least 1 or 2 meetings in conjunction with the planning board, the November and December, to see how things work with the planning board, as well as to maybe they might be able to discuss the land development code and go over those things prior to their first meeting. So I just wanted to throw that out there and see if anybody else might feel the same way about that, that it wouldn't hurt to go ahead and have our announcements made, have them attend a couple of meetings as a participant, but to be able to go ahead and basically see how the ropes, how things go. If, I don't know what we need to do to do that, whether we need to make a motion for that.
Well,
or
the motion, if I may speak, the motion was that we hold off until January 2nd to finalize that, just to have more time to figure out what we're doing in the process, because that was decided up here as the meeting went on. In the process, we discovered, the chairman of the planning board pointed out to me that we have several, and Mrs. Smith, that we have several members of the current planning board whose appointments are up, in October, correct?
They stopped the end of September, 9/30.
End of September. So my notion to wait until the first of the year has caught some of this, caught us short a little bit. So that was, unintended consequence. So that relates to what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, without knowing that, I didn't realize that. But I just thought it'd be good to go ahead and have us announce at the next meeting, and possibly have old and new together to be able to go ahead and at least go through one meeting or so.
Could I ask for, if you don't mind me hitchhiking on what you're saying there, Hector, ask for an update on where we stand on the planning board. We had a motion and a second to change it to 5, and then we've had both of the readings necessary.
You've had one of the readings. Because it is an amendment to your LDC, it does actually require it go before the planning board for their recommendation or no recommendation, but procedurally they have to see it. They have not actually met as a board since you had that reading. I have talked to Mel, and they will be meeting in November to consider that and some other ordinances as well.
Will we meet? How many are expiring, Ms. Smith? 2?
I believe 3.
3. So that meeting in November will have how many members?
They serve until their successors are appointed, so we don't have
Okay,
a real
okay.
problem
There's
there.
not gonna be a void there.
Okay, I didn't know, I didn't realize that. Thank you.
They may have termed out, but they serve until their successors have been
Okay.
appointed.
Okay.
And by your intention, those successors will be appointed in January.
Okay.
So after your November 10th meeting is actually before the planning board's November 14th meeting. So if 2 of you are going to be absent from your next meeting, you may want to hold off on your announcements.
Well, I plan on phoning in myself.
Well, let's talk about that phoning in. I mean, it's, and Mrs. Strange, efficient, serving her community well, called in, but the technical part of that is very distracting.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's hard, and to
Yeah.
have 2 of
Yeah,
you,
there's a
to have
lag.
2 of you that are gonna be on the phone now, I don't, is there some way that, we are a technical nightmare in this room to start
Yeah,
with?
I had no idea she was not gonna be here, so I wasn't, like I said, it wasn't planned or anything.
It is a
I'm-
horrible way to do business.
I'm hoping it's a light agenda. If it's a light agenda, it won't be.
It is, but it's also not necessary. I mean, if you want to, you need a majority to have a quorum to transact business. So as long as the 3 of you are here, y'all can still watch the live stream and at least be aware of what's going on.
And I know
I know
some
that's
of
not
the
as
things y'all don't like.
satisfying.
And I promise I won't vote for it.
Yeah, well, I guess when I see the agenda, I'll decide then.
We'll still need 9 and 6.
Yeah.
It's primarily bid awards at this point.
Huh?
It's primarily bid awards that are within the budget.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'll take a look at the agenda
Okay.
and base it on that.
And so we won't be able to have, on that same topic, we won't be able to have that second reading until after their November meeting.
Yeah, it'll come back to you in December for your
Okay.
second reading, public
So
hearing, and
maybe we could
adoption.
think about that as far as maybe at that point, if during that reading, we discuss whether it's okay to mix the 2 groups just to be able to get a little bit of crossover. The next thing I had was just wanted to put a reminder out that we are going to be doing a town hall on November 4th at the Oakfield Center from 2 to 5 p.m. in regards to what had been discussed regarding a partnership, a community partnership, TDC, county, HOA condo associations, homeowners, citizens, all in discussion of trying to see how we can move forward with the cleanest beaches here in Panama City Beach, where we end up getting a partnership and realize that the better we can maintain our beaches, the better off we all are. And at the same time that we expect our visitors that come in to have a great time, but we'd like them to respect our beaches and try and get to where we can. Maybe look at some new signage. The TDC's working on a new marketing campaign possibly, so we can get new fresh signs to kind of let people know, some of the expectations as what the do's and don'ts are without just a lot of black letters going across, telling you what you can't do, but kind of maybe some more visual things so people can realize that we've got the most beautiful beaches and we want to keep them that way. So that's, please get the word out. That's November 4th at the Oakfield Center, 2 to 5. We'll all be there, and hopefully we can come up with some good discussion between the community and us and come up with a good partnership where we start going in the same direction on wanting to keep our beaches as clean as we can. And then lastly, when I was discussing Colony Club, just wanted to put it out there that we should be within the next 2 weeks, I believe, putting that out for bid on Colony Club. So we're moving really close with the road for Colony Club. Is that correct?
Colony Clubs are already out to bid.
It's out to bid.
and
I mean, it's coming in, I think, in the next 2 weeks. So
It'll be
should
on your
award
Nove-
it.
It'll be on your November
on the
1st,
next-
November
so
meeting.
we're getting very close on that and moving ahead with that. I've had a lot of people ask where we're at, and there was a lot of processes there with things that had to take place, and so that's coming along very nicely now.
Has that apartment complex or condo complex?
They're hooking up.
They are.
That's what I was telling you,
But
yes.
I mean, they're doing that at their own expense. We are not bringing the road. to
Yes,
them.
they are. Yes, they are.
Good.
That's all, sir.
Good.
John?
I would, knowing that we're gonna have 2 counselors out the next meeting, perhaps we should go ahead and address the fact that there no second city council meeting in November falls on Thanksgiving Day, and the second meeting in December falls on the 22nd of December. Do we want to address that today or tonight? And,
I'm good with that.
Go
Do you
ahead.
have a motion?
I would make a motion. I don't know if we need to do it separately, counselor, or together is okay.
You can do it together if there's.
All right, that we only have the first meeting, which would be on the 10th of November and the 8th of December, and forego the second meeting of the month on those. understanding that if we need a second meeting, that we can call a special meeting and have a second meeting.
And we did that last year, didn't we?
Yes. Mhm.
Sure did.
I'll second that motion.
Yep.
Madam Clerk?
Councilman Riekert?
Yes.
Councilman Chester?
Yes.
Councilwoman Strange?
Yes.
Councilman Solis?
Yes.
Mayor Thomas?
Yes, ma'am. Anything else, Councilman?
The planning board, one of the things that I have, in talking with 4 members of the planning board, one of the reasons that I asked that we have a delay in approving all of that till January 2 was that we have more time to talk to them. 4 members of the planning board I talked to are really sharp people. They were all around when the land development code was developed. They are, I don't want to have to pick one person. I mean, that's, I'm
You're not gonna do my pick.
Sir?
You're not gonna do my pick.
That's correct. That's right. But I mean, we're thinning it from 7 to 5. I think we've got some awfully good people on there. I'd like to hear if there are any other opinions, are we still dug in at 5? Do we want to leave it alone? I mean, let's just, in fairness to those 7 people, I'd like for us to say,
Why don't we
been-
let the 5 that we select choose 2? So they would be board appointed. Does that make sense?
I think the mayor's notion about what the county does is leave it at 5.
Well,
Yeah.
that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I know the county fought with their comprehensive plan for years.
Right.
And they had 9 people on it. And it was a constant problem. I don't know that John Robbins may not have been on there one time. It was horrible. And
But our planning board seems to work really well together.
unless you're trying to build something.
Well,
Some of the rules are a problem.
But that's a separate issue. I mean, we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. When you talk about how everything has run smooth, there are some things we have a problem with.
Which we can go to each one of those and deal with as a separate issue. I mean, there's one.
We shouldn't do that.
We shouldn't do that.
I wouldn't, that's.
Well, we could ask the planning board to say, 1.345, we, would like for you to review that because the city council majority doesn't feel like that's we've tweaked that how many times, Mel, since just over 3 years that the LDC has been in, how many times probably have we tweaked it? I mean, that have come before us saying we need to change this, Amy, probably 10 times?
Well, probably it's probably more than that. I mean, there's always even the old code. Every code,
right?
Every code, that's just what you do, and so
Right.
and it'll continue no matter what changes we make now.
Yeah.
It just will.
So
To
we.
your point, I mean, are you saying you want more or do you want 5?
I'm asking the other 4 of you I think we've got a pretty darn good board now. There are 7 versus 5. I am not opposed to the mayor's concept of 5 appointed because I've always felt that term limits on our boards should match the term limits that the voters have approved for us. And so I was just looking to see if the concept of 5 still, after you've had time to talk to planning board members, which I have and I know others have because they've told me they've talked to other members of the council.
Well, let me save you some suspense on my pick. I'm actually picking somebody from the planning board to stay on there.
Okay.
Because I feel that we need some consistency. So I've already been in discussion with some, and I think that consistency is very important. I'm fairly new to the area, and so for me to know somebody that would be the best person, I've just gone back and I've looked at the meeting minutes from the meetings. I've taken a look at the meetings. I've seen what they've done, and so from there, I've decided this is the person I want because they're very knowledgeable. So, I mean, and it sounds like maybe you're thinking of doing the same thing.
Well,
I don't know.
And if there are members of the council, or the planning board, or the community that have some, think that it's difficult to build, under this new code, what specifically needs to be addressed, I think to have someone on that board or to have some continuity, the people who built that code and know, here's why we arrived at this part of the code. We tried 7 other ideas before that one was finalized. I think
that's why I've made the decision.
at least a
I've made
couple of
is
those.
based
Right.
on-
So I just wanted to bring that up, and it sounds, I'm not getting anybody saying, I think we should stay with the 7 concept. It sounds like that as we voted, that the 5 seems to be dug in pretty well, and that's fine with me. I just wanted to check in and see where we stand with that, because that was the purpose of delaying the final reading.
Now, I wouldn't mind having a meeting with the planning board as a open town hall meeting to, if we feel that there's things that aren't being addressed the way they need to be addressed for the city, it seems like the only way they're gonna know that is if we have an open meeting where we can talk about it. And
Mel,
I don't know if that's ever been done before or not, or.
May I ask Mr. Luntner a question, Your Honor? Mayor, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah. Mel, just so everybody in the room knows, what is the procedure if like, we'll use the mayor as an example. He just got a couple of hesitations on things in the land development code. What is the process for that to be reviewed, possibly revoked, changed, modified? What is the process?
Any suggestions from the council that you want the planning board to look at? Staff takes it to the planning board at the next available meeting. If there's any information, background information needs to be gathered, it's put on the planning board agenda. Staff will give a description about what the thoughts are from the council, why they want you to take another look at it, and what elements of the code it is, and then the planning board takes however much time is necessary. Some can be done in one meeting, some probably take several meetings depending on how big the issue is, and then they will bring back a recommendation to you for you to consider, and then you can consider the recommendation and then do whatever you want.
But the process is it must go back, that idea, that proposed review, change, whatever, would have to go back to the planning board, and then they vet it, make a recommendation, which comes back to the council.
Yes, sir. They give recommendations on changes to the land development code, but then you're not bound by it. You can still consider that and do whatever you want.
Yes, sir.
I think any planning board would benefit by having a meeting with the city council to get a feel for what's workable, what the plan is, so that as they're looking at applications and enforcing the land development code, there's kind of a clear vision about how we proceed. So I think something like that becomes very beneficial. I think it would help them out a lot.
Thank you, sir. So our planning board situation is that, and I was not aware of this, thank you, that the people who are in office now will remain in office until they're replaced. So the fact that their term is up the end of September doesn't matter. So that took care of itself, good, because we didn't want 3 people gone and 1 absent and 3 people out of 7 making decisions over there, and so when do we foresee the second reading of this proposed change in the planning board numbers and how they're appointed?
First meeting in December.
December
We should
8th
be
will be
able
your
to
second
bring
reading
that
and
back.
public hearing.
Second reading.
And then January the 2nd, we can bring it on board like you had.
Okay, so the new members will not be appointed until after the first of the year?
Well,
Assuming that it passes on December 8th.
And you could appoint them at the December 8th meeting following adoption of that ordinance.
But that.
And they would take office on January 2nd. And then if there was a January meeting of the planning board, they could start as a new board.
Let's do it after Christmas, please.
Okay.
And then we can
Yes, sir.
address whether or not we want them all to be there with new and old at that point.
We'll make sure
You're better off presenting to the new.
Do you have
council.
anything else?
No,
Mr.
sir.
Chris? Okay.
Was that enough?
You done?
Plenty.
I thought you thought it was. Thank you.
Assistant Chief, please stand up. I've heard nothing but raves and raves and raves and applause about Tuesday night by our officers. So thank you.
We do
Larry-
have the best police
Larry helps
officers.
Larry, yes, Larry also. Thank you.
Here, here.
That it?
I'm good. That was it. Just praise.
Not you.
I read an article on, what was it, BuzzFeed, that somebody, one of the News Herald reporters sent to me, and she was telling me how this fellow was visibly against Trump, but she sent me the article because it was bragging on Panama City Beach, the way that the attendees acted and the way they behaved, and she was talking about how the family atmosphere out there. I have said several times, we have events at Aaron Besant that couldn't be held anywhere else in Bay County because of the atmosphere that is created by the citizens of Panama City Beach, and that it was that way the other night when I was out there. It was really a nice event. All right, me, code enforcement. Well, code enforcement has been doing some things. I've had some questions. A lot of it's on repossessed properties that we're not able to get somebody to respond to, the banks. We had this problem in the county a couple of years ago, and we were going to do a notification where when they did a repo, the bank itself had to have somebody responsible that was approachable by the city to maintain the property. They do this down in South Florida in several communities. The banks did not want that to happen in Bay County. And their attorneys said they would help us work through this process and get everybody on board. So when, if you remember several years ago when there were so many repos, there was a lot of derelict properties around that we couldn't contact anybody and get a response from to get anything done. I would like for us to get staff to look at those ordinances and try to bring us back something that holds somebody responsible from a lending institution. When they take possession of that property, they should be responsible for keeping it clean in those neighborhoods. And y'all know what I'm talking about. You've got them all over the city that are like that. I've had complaints about when we're citing people about signs and different things that there are other signs we're not citing, like the rental by owner signs and things that are right out on the road. I know that real estate signs have been given a free pass over the years, but there have been some changes made lately in the state about those things, and these people that we're citing for other things. I just went through a sign permit process. A guy is for me, and it's quite an extensive process, and it's good to where we can tell what's happening there. But I wish we'd check and see if those signs are being followed the way they should, the rules for that, or do we need to go ahead and try to change some of that to make our code enforcement better there? We talked we talked about the abandoned structures that are being left there. There's one on Cobb Road and one down behind two down behind the plaza. I thought that you had to, in order to maintain a building permit, you had to do something to it every year. Some of these places have been sitting there. I know we've got on them about trying to clean up around them, but if they're not going to build on them, they need to be gone. The neighbors are up in arms about it, and most of us would be too. They've got fences around a couple of them, privacy fences that we require during construction where you can't see through it, and there are homeless people and different things going on around there that the neighborhoods don't like. I wish we could look at that closer about taking them down and getting that process started. We're fixing to start the second phase of Front Beach CRA. Back in 2000 when the CRA started, we were supposed to have a plan put in place on assessments on how to maintain it. And it hasn't been done yet. Was there a study that we authorized, or we were looking at getting somebody to do a study for different things, fire and different things? Has that been started, that process yet?
Yes and no.
We have 3 items that we have that we're just about ready to pull the trigger on, and I'm hoping by November we should be able to pull the trigger on those. But this particular item that you just hit on would feed off of the information that these other 3 items are working with. But a fire, a CRA assessment would be a very specific study that would be a standalone spin-off that would have to be triggered in order to ever have a CRA assessment. But the data, the capital improvement, the maintenance cost, all of those things would be information that would feed into this type product. But this type product is something that y'all would have to vote on and push forward, and then we'd have to define the parameters of it and everything else. But those consultants would help us develop some of those parameters also.
I don't think we have any choice but to do it. And the rules.
The guidelines are set that way, yes, sir.
But I had rather us not wait any longer. If we have something bad happen to that road out there, one of the drains wash out, we don't have any money in the city coffers to fix things like that, and it should come out of that assessment. So I wish we'd get to looking at that pretty quick.
If nothing else, we can start putting together at least the RFQ to do the assessment for the CRA.
But the capital improvement plan is gonna kind of takes in that direction a little bit, right? And then we just have
The
to.
capital improvement plan will give us the cost to build the balance of it, to maintain the balance of it, to build a life cycle for the balance of it. This is taking the maintenance and day in, day out cost and actually going back to all those properties and determining how you would assess those properties to be able to maintain that roadway. And part of the assessment can include the mass transit component. It can include the garbage component. It can include the asphalt component. It can include
But if
the
we
landscape.
have a hard freeze this year and all the people die,
It's
we
ours.
don't have the money to fix it.
It is ours, yes,
Well,
sir.
we've been taking it out of the CRA, which sort of defeats the purpose of the CRA.
Well, actually, our general fund has been paying for the maintenance so far.
The CRA.
The CRA 's been- So,
CRA.
and
we're-
cutting of the lawn and
we're-
all the maintenance.
We are currently spending somewhere around $250,000 for
Maintenance, so.
maintaining the irrigation, maintaining the plants, and replacing the plants, and
And that's
cutting,
the first
trimming.
section. When we get the second one in,
And that's yearly.
And that is annual, yes.
so we've been here 6 months. These are things that back in August, we said we wanted to do. There were several things we talked about, and I wish you'd look at the minutes of those meetings
Mhm.
when we had and let's get started on it.
Yes, sir.
Unless, we need to get it where we vote on something.
Yeah, we've got to get the capital improvement plan moving, and then we've got to do it more specific.
That's right.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may interrupt and say that 2 of those projects you're talking about that have been sitting there for 10 years, the one on Cobb and the other one is on
Fernwood Gardenia.
Gardenia, have been sitting there, and the city managers worked very hard, and our legal friends have worked very hard with those people trying to, see when they're gonna do something. I mean, they've been in touch with them, and nothing's happening. I mean, they put the fence back up, and I think in a future meeting,
The lien holder
I'd like
was
to
supposed to
address
acquire
that
title
more
and
specifically
declare
and
the
go
title was
forward.
gonna take it
Because
through January.
they've had plenty of time if they're gonna do something.
Well, if you own property around it, it's devaluing your property. And I think we shouldn't just sit up here and allow that to happen if there's something we can do about it.
The owner is no longer the owner. Now it's the lien holder that has it, and it won't be clear till January, according to Amy,
So if we tore it, the building down, could those areas be designated parks for the city?
We wouldn't,
They're abandoned.
We'd have, the property's owned by, we'd have to buy it or do something.
we'd have to buy it for our own public purposes. If
They're
we
not abandoned, because they're still paying the tax on it.
If you,
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, they're still
We just
paying.
gotta force their hand on it.
That's right. Either fix it or take it out.
or
But
sell it.
there is a brand new owner now, as opposed to what we had before.
Okay.
Maybe they'll start building.
He intends to as soon as he can clear the title in January.
That's,
Oh,
That's what
okay.
they-
Which one is that?
It's the contractor who provided all the cement and concrete to build the structures.
Which one?
on both.
Both.
Both of them,
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
It was the same company.
Okay.
There was
Building
a
both.
Russian, a group
Yeah.
of Russians that were building it, and they bought a big piece on Back Beach Road, and they just didn't get started on it. All right. Anything else from up here? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah, we